Hey guys, Dan Williams from Range of Motion. Welcome to this special episode of Romcast. Today we are joined by a special guest, Ian Dewhurst. Ian is an international track athlete and also a physiotherapist working out of 4Motion Physio. Ian, thank you very much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me in Dan. I'm looking forward to being here and obviously building on last year. It's great to come back and be able to offer my knowledge and my experience to the athletes at the camp.
Absolutely. So, as Ian mentioned, he will be one of our subject matter expert coaches at the 2019 Range of Motion Athlete Camp, which is coming up in September. Ian, for those of the listeners or viewers who maybe have not had any exposure to the work you do or your background as an athlete, tell us a bit about your background as an athlete, as a physio, as a coach. Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I started out running a long time ago, under 10s, I think, when I was back in New South Wales, Currajong Bilpin, bottom of the Blue Mountains. And over the first 5 years or so of doing Little A's, I tried all the events, had some success and failures with some and not so much others. And when I was about 15 and 16, or maybe 16, 17, found my niche with 400-metre hurdles. 400-metre hurdles is what I've then focused on. And I was lucky enough to have some success as an under-18, under-20 Australian champion, and then just recently took out my fourth Australian Open title.
Congratulations.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, thank you. That success has given me the opportunity to represent Australia quite a number of times, most recently on the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Pretty awesome being able to get out there in a stadium full of Aussies. Everyone cheering. No one knows who you are, but they're all cheering for you because you're Australian. And that's a pretty incredible feeling to be able to go out there and after all the work that we put in, be able to get to experience something like that. So away from the track, as you mentioned, a physiotherapist. So I did an exercise science degree back in 2011 in New South Wales, and then I did a master's of physio at Sydney University. I've been practicing as a physio for around the past 5 years or so now. So I think that combination of injury management experience plus competing at an elite level gives me a really good base to help the guys at the camp.
Two questions for you straight up.
Yep.
Are we looking for Olympic representation? Is that the goal?
Yeah.
I notice it's the only thing missing from your resume, isn't it?
That's right. I think if I retired now, I'd be happy, but there'd always be that sort of lingering missed opportunity, I suppose. And I've been close. In 2016, unfortunately, tore my hamstring, ended up missing the time by 0.3 of a second. So Tokyo next year is the goal, and I think if I could tick that off, that would really cap the career off. I need to be top 40 in the world on the world rankings. I'm currently ranked 49.
Okay.
So I'm right on the edge there, knocking away. So yeah, look, if everything goes well, that's certainly where I'd like to be.
Exciting.
Yep.
And the second thing I wanted to ask you to kick this off is 400 hurdles the most painful event in world sport?
It's rough. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But I think it's also you build a tolerance for what you train for. And 400 hurdles is horrible, particularly for people that don't train for it. But I don't find it any harder than, say, a flat 400. I'd much rather do a 400 hurdles than a 1500, for example. The 1500 guys might disagree. So I think you get very used to what you train for. Yes, it hurts, but all events hurt, and it's just what you're used to. So I think we cop a bad rep for being the most painful event. I think we're pretty equal to a lot of the other ones.
Cool. So let's go from that elite level down to sort of a general population level, people who are just looking to improve their running, improve their athletic ability. What I'd love to do is basically try and establish a couple of strategies, maybe 3 different strategies or tips that you may have that people can implement to make as big a difference as possible to their running while not having to put in an enormous amount of work. So I'm basically looking for the low-hanging fruit here. So what would be your first tip for people, Ian?
I think the first one, if we look at the technique, is Footstrike. So I think that athletes of whether beginners, intermediate, advanced, elite, working on Footstrike and getting that in the right position is something that we're always striving to perfect. Very few people get it just right. It's an easy one to make big changes with. It's a hard one to make perfect. So we want to be striking relatively underneath the hips rather than out in front of the hips. And we really want to have a forefoot to midfoot plant on the ground first, as opposed to the heel first. If we go heel first out in front of the body, that's essentially a deceleration. We're putting the handbrake on. We're slowing down. It's not fast and it's not efficient. If we can strike underneath the body, forefoot, midfoot, we're just continuing that momentum on, and we're using that momentum to then drive off into that next stride. So I think getting that foot placement right for each strike is key, and most people don't do that well. But we can certainly make fast changes with that one.
Yeah. You see that sort of quintessential stock photo of a silhouette of someone running with that heel striking the ground right out in front of them. But of course, that's not what we're looking for. That's right.
I think most people are guilty of it and aren't aware of it. When we put, and I'm not for or against running in shoes. There's different theories out there. I don't really delve into that too much. But with the current footwear that most people wear, big chunky soles on them, and it makes it very easy to hit your heel first and have the shoe take out a lot of that impact. Whereas if you run barefoot, you don't have that padding there, and people tend to actually have better mechanics just by taking footwear away.
Yeah.
That's not to say that people should take footwear away all of a sudden and go for a 10K run, but we're naturally built to run a certain way, and if we take away those external cues that make us run a different way, we tend to tidy up a fair bit.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, as we're talking about and as we're looking for, a very easy or a very small change that can make a big difference. Do you have an example of where you've seen this, maybe someone you've worked with, and how they've used this tip to help improve their running?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of clients that I have at the moment who come to me purely for exercise prescription, but more of a running focus. And I had one lady who, first time I saw her, she was a shocker. It wasn't great. Lots of heel striking, heaps of twisting. Not a lot was right. We worked on a few things, so video feedback, me giving cues as we went, and a few sort of external barriers and stuff as well that helped her get onto that forefoot and get it underneath the hips. And within the space of maybe 6 to 8 weeks, we knocked about 2 seconds off 100-meter time.
Wow.
2 seconds doesn't sound like a lot. In the course of 100 meters, it's enormous. Okay, so like if you think about Usain Bolt, 9.58 world record, if we take 2 seconds off that, that's 11.58. There's 15-year-old kids that can run 11.58. So 2 seconds is an enormous difference.
Yeah.
So foot striking is one of those ones that, as I said, it's hard to perfect. But if you make some little changes, it can have a drastic benefit on your outcome.
Yeah,
yep.
And as you say, it's hard to perfect. So someone at your level, you're looking for these tiny little 1%ers. But for someone who's just trying to improve their efficiency, hard to perfect, but easy to a degree to get a good deal of improvement from it.
Yeah, and that's right. I think the further you, like a lot of things, the further you get up towards the top, the harder it is to get that extra 1% or two. And I was, what are we now, Friday? On Wednesday, I was at the track with the biomech from Waste, and we were specifically filming for Footstrike and having a look at my Footstrike. So I've been running for 20 years, and I'm still getting professionals to look at me and try and nail it. So it's something that is tricky but effective. Yeah.
What would your second tip be for people looking to improve their running in?
Yeah, I think a second one, I think it's quite easy to do as well, is mobility, particularly of the hips and lower limb. Whole body is important, but two of the biggest deficiencies to see is when athletes, particularly gym-based athletes, are quite tight through their hip flexors, so rec fem, psoas. Being tight through that anterior chain or those hip flexors will limit the amount of extension we get through the hip. Extension is that sort of drive, that propulsion. We extend, we force our body forward into the next step. And if we cut that short, then we're limiting the amount of power that we can put through that extension phase. In contrast to that, the other side of the equation is if we're tight through our hammies. Being tight through the hammies means when we swing through that gait cycle, we'll be cut short with the forward follow through. So being tight front and back of the hip, amongst others, will limit the efficiency and the effectiveness of each stride.
One of the other presenters, as you know, at the athlete camp is Lucia Tennant, who
Yes.
is involved with a lot of the work that you do through Full Motion Physio. She, I know, has a background in sprinting as well, and I think there's going to be a really good synergy to have the more sort of lab theory-based work that she's going to be covering with people, and then being able to combine that with a runner who has a physio background. I think there's going to be a really good crossover there, which I think will be exciting for people.
Yeah, I think it will complement each other really well. And I've obviously worked quite a bit with Lucia, and I like the way that she does things. We do things a little bit differently, but they're both also effective. So I think, that'll complement each of us really well.
Cool. Tell me the story about someone who has made some changes or made some improvements in their flexibility and how that's helped their running.
Yeah, so I mean, improving flexibility can be done a number of ways. So I'm not here to say that foam rolling, stretching, PNF, dynamic drills is the best. I think a combination is the most effective way to achieve that. A similar example to the one that I gave before is a client of mine who we spent a period of time working on dynamic mobility and ended up increasing her stride length by almost half a foot. So we're talking 10 or 15 centimeters. Again, you look at 10 or 15 centimeters, it's nothing, but in a stride, it's huge. It works out to be, so we're working over a 40-meter block while we're measuring these. It worked out to be something like 7.5 meters over the course of 100 meters.
Wow.
For the average person, that's a second. Yeah. So just by increasing 10 or 15 centimeters with one stride, provided you can maintain the same step rate, can have a significant benefit to your performance. So it's quite enormous. Also on that, we need to be aware of point A, which is that foot striking. So if we lengthen things out too much, it's very hard to get that foot back underneath the body. So everyone's going to have the happy medium where we want to get the maximum amount of stride length while still preserving that foot positioning.
Great. Tell me your third tip, Ian.
Yep. Third one is moving away from that lower limb and going up into the trunk, the upper body, the arms. For some reason, I'm not sure why yet. I noticed this at the camp last year, and with a few CrossFitters / very gym-based athletes that I've had come running, they're not great at coordinating upper limb with the legs in a running movement. And I think a lot of it comes down to being quite stiff and tight through upper back and through the shoulders, which perhaps prevents some of that more fluid movement happening. Generally speaking, CrossFitters are a bit more built in the upper body than what a typical runner would be. So having good symmetry or good coordination between upper limb and lower limb is important. If we think about what the upper limb does, say our left leg comes forward, that's a lot of weight and a lot of force causing torsion or twist through our trunk. The opposing arm will then go forward to help counter that. So it keeps us nice and square and tidy. It also builds a lot of tension through our fascia and muscles that stabilize a lot of the joints in our body. So it's an efficient way to move. So having good coordination between left leg, right arm, and vice versa leads to efficient movement. In terms of an example of that, we haven't done a lot of, really objective measures of just improving someone's arms when they run and seeing how that translates into performance, because we generally work on the above two things as well. But I think we see it very clearly in distance runners particularly. Once they can tidy up that upper body, they're much more efficient in their movement. They can repeat reps a number of times. We also have with the upper limb, a lot of muscles that are responsible for forced expiration. So it's not just the mechanical efficiencies we get, but also breathing efficiencies, which helps with recovery and aerobic performance as well. So I think upper limb is neglected somewhat, but if you look at the best athletes, they're generally very tidy with their upper limb as well.
Yeah. Is that something that we would improve through technique work, through stretching and flexibility work? Is it a combination? How do we fix the upper body?
Yep. So I think it's a combination. I think generally speaking, a big driver of it is thoracic spine mobility, so being stiff through the upper back, so mobilizing through there. Yes, stretching, absolutely. Particular drills to work on that coordination, and we'll definitely be running through a fair few of those at the camp. I'd like to definitely pull out some weaknesses of people and see some things that we can make some quick changes to. So drills, mobility. I don't think it's too much initially a strength deficit. I think there's a lot of strength there. It's more so coordinating that strength into the right plane of movement that we see the benefits. So, there's a few things to improve.
Yeah, and I think having a population of athletes or a population of people who are involved in multiple sports, maybe they do some gymnastics or powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting, they have sort of all the tools at their disposal, and it really is, I think, about refining the technique and sharpening these tools and basically pointing them in the right direction. And I think those 3 tips will really help with that.
Yeah, I think so. You've got the tools, you just got to know how to use them.
Yeah.
And running, for the upper limb particularly, running is a very sagittal plane, back and forth based movement, as opposed to more complex dynamic movements that you might have in the gym or in CrossFit. So it's just a refinement, as you said, of the skill.
Cool. So tell me what people can expect to see at the athlete camp. So we're going back again to the State Athletics Stadium, which is an amazing venue which we have booked out for the camp. What can attendees expect to be learning from you, Ian?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, world-class facilities for one. So the track at Perth, it's a Mondo track, which is the best surface that we've got to run on. We've got Rakatan, Tartan, Mondo. If you go to any major championship, it'll be a Mondo surface. So the attendees are getting the best facilities that money can buy. We'll obviously then be going through a number of drills that I think are very effective at outlining or exposing some weaknesses, and I'll be sort of picking at those and trying to give everyone some feedback on how to improve those and ways they can work on them at home. And we'll go through a few exercises as well, working on those 3 points that I mentioned that will focus on hip mobility, arm, lower limb coordination, and getting that foot strike right. I think if the athletes can walk away either improved with those or at least aware of those and aware of ways that they can work on it, then it'll be a successful camp. So they're the main areas we'll look at.
Yeah, great. Look, I mean, if the success of last year is anything to go by, I know we saw drastic improvements in people's technique over the space of an hour.
That's right.
And from seeing what people are doing since that event, just improvements across the board. So I think it's really valuable for people, and we're super excited and super lucky to have you coming back to present this module again.
Awesome. No, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool. So, Ian, if people would like to get in touch with you on social media, would like to follow you online, would like to watch your progress towards Tokyo, hopefully, where can people find you?
Yep. So I'm 2 social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. I'm not a huge Twitter fiend, but certainly, look me up on Instagram and give me a follow. It's just Ian Dewhurst. I should be one of the top ones there. So easy to find.
Great. Ian, thank you very much for your time. I'm pumped to have you back again for the athlete camp this year. We will see you in September.
Awesome. Can't wait. See you then.
Thanks, mate.